tell me a little bit about what the setup will be?
We'll have to actually have a rehearsal, understanding all the very specific points where we're going to be speeding up or slowing down, or that's the most important thing is tempo. And then once we kind of have a understanding of that, Peter is kind of flying blind in terms of he doesn't hear me singing.
We get the latency, the audio latency, and the visual latency to match up so that John can actually take visual cues from me. So, in addition to him hearing me, he can also, I can do, you'll see me at times, it'll almost look like I'm kind of conducting while I play to help guide him through it. But I won't hear John all night as we're, at least not while we're making music. I'll only be hearing him in my head. And fortunately, these are songs that we have done so many times together that I essentially have the way he sings it memorized in my ear. So as I play, I'm hearing and imagining what he's sounding like.
You'll both be visible on the stream, I assume.
You'll see us both. It'll be in real time. Everything will be synced up, and it really is live.
Tell me a little bit about the program.
This program, it's called The Journey Home, and it's a continuation of a program that we presented with you all back in 2018 called A Silent Night, a WWI Memorial and Song. And The Journey Home is about the end of World War I when this catastrophic event had finished, and the world had an opportunity to kind of collect itself and come back to some idea of normalcy. Peter, do you want to say a little bit more about it?
Many of these songs are composed by composers who actually were involved in World War I, fighting on the front lines. However, there are also a few that are a bit more timeless. One of the central pieces is Schubert's Der Wanderer, and this song really gets to the core of this question of someone who feels lost and is unsure of whether or not they even belong. And that's true when we look at World War I, not just of a soldier coming back and obviously dealing with PTSD and everything like that, or shell shock as they called it then, but also all of the displaced refugees who were finding new homes in the 20s, and of course later on in the 30s and 40s, and so this theme of someone who is feeling like an outsider and trying to make their peace in a new home is really central to the program. And as an example of that, we do some songs by Rachmaninoff, who fled Russia during the Bolshevik Revolution and actually landed on the shores of America just the day after the signing of the armistice, and became a huge contributor to American culture.
You come up with the idea for this? What got you interested in the music surrounding World War I? What's personally motivating you or driving you?
We ended up looking into the history around the centennial of World War I, and that led us to this sort of treasure trove of songs and music that ended up being this 4 or 5 year journey of learning all of these songs and learning about the composers specifically who went through this experience, and the songs that then they wrote about this life experience.
And poets too.
Yeah, and poets, of course. Yeah, of course. And just recognizing these artists who fought in the First World War, and their interpretation of war through art, through song, was something that, when you start to peel the layers away and you start to see what's at the core of these songs and this artwork, it's actually a message for the general public, for us citizens, And the message is in the music. It's in the words that we are transported through our feeling and through our emotions to the exact moment, when these composers were experiencing these catastrophic events. And of course now, we're in 2020, 102 years after the end of World War I, and we're facing our own pandemic. It's kind of shocking, having done so much research and lived these songs for these past really 6 years, since 2014, to be in this sort of mirroring time,
Yeah.
to the early 20th century.